His words cut sharper than any blade. Trash in a rented dress. The billionaire's voice carried across the length of the mahogany table, polished so perfectly that my own reflection stared back at me. 23 guests sat frozen, crystal glasses trembling in their hands, forks hovering mid-air. The silence that followed pressed down on my chest like a steel edge. And his gaze, my boyfriend's father's gaze, was unflinching, merciless, savoring my humiliation as though it were entertainment. I rose slowly, my pulse hammering like a war drum. But instead of shame, a smile curved across my lips. This wasn't defeat. It was the signal I had been waiting for. I remembered the first night I met his son. A rooftop bar, golden light spilling over the city skyline. He leaned against the railing with a glass of champagne, speaking as though the skyscrapers belonged to him. For a fleeting moment, I thought maybe they did. But when he laughed, softer than expected, and his eyes met mine, he seemed almost human. I let myself believe in him, in us. For months, that belief became my shield. I thought love could close the canyon between his world of glass towers and my world of cracked sidewalks. I thought honesty might matter more than lineage. But honesty doesn't stand a chance against billions. The change was gradual. His texts grew delayed. His father's calls would end abruptly whenever I entered the room. Their staff, once polite, began to look through me as if I were invisible. I convinced myself it was paranoia, until the truth spilled out in a way I couldn't ignore. One evening, I arrived at his penthouse earlier than expected. His laptop glowed on the desk, an email chain open like bait. A woman's name appeared, a woman I had never met, from a family whose wealth dwarfed mine by galaxies. The message framed their future union not as love, but as business. Marriage described as a merger. My name buried in the text, dismissed as nothing more than temporary amusement. That night, I smiled through dinner. I poured the wine. I kissed his cheek. But inside, something flipped. I didn't scream. I didn't leave. I watched. I learned. I began peeling back the layers of their empire, not the glamorous skyscrapers or polished headlines, but the shadows beneath. The shell companies. The lawsuits buried in silence. The creditors whispering behind closed doors. I followed their paper trail like a hunter stalking blood in snow. And then, I found it. A weak link. A real estate scheme so fragile it relied on bribery and secrecy. One leak, and it would all come crashing down. But patience was my weapon. Timing, everything. So I played the part. I laughed at the patriarch's cruel jokes. I let him sneer charity case at me to my face. Every insult was fuel, collected and stored for the fire I was building. And now, here we were. His insult detonated like a grenade in the center of the dining room. Politicians, bankers, influencers, all squirmed, unsure if they should laugh, cough, or choke. I stood straighter, the silk of my borrowed dress brushing against my legs. My smile widened. Funny, I said softly. My voice wasn't loud, but it carried. Whispers like that spark wars. I set my glass down, steady. Because garbage doesn't usually own half the land your newest project is built on. The air shattered. Heads snapped toward me. For the first time, his eyes flickered. He masked it quickly, but I saw. I leaned forward, deliberate. I warned the city council your permits were forged. They didn't believe me, until I sent them copies of your offshore accounts. Untaxed. Hidden. Gasps rippled through the table. I stepped closer, palms flat on the glossy wood. By tomorrow morning, headlines will crown you king of fraud. Your investors will scatter. Your banks will freeze. And your empire will collapse before dessert is cleared. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out, only a tremor on his lips. Beside him, his son's face turned pale, betrayal cutting him open from both sides. I straightened, sliding the strap of my dress back into place. Street trash, was it? My tone was quiet, cold. Funny thing about trash, It knows how to rot empires from the inside. The room broke into chaos. Chairs scraped back, whispers swelled like a storm. Some guests fled, others lingered, hungry to witness the bloodletting. I turned my back on all of them. My heels echoed against the marble floor, steady, unhurried, final. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. By sunrise, their name would be venom. Their legacy, dust. Do I regret it? No. Love blinded me once. They thought cruelty would shatter me. Instead, cruelty sharpened me. Betrayal taught me. When power mocks you across a dinner table, you don't cry. You rise. You whisper. And you burn their empire to ash, smiling as it crumbles. Empires don't fall with thunder. They fall with a whisper. And tonight, that whisper belonged to me.